According to Robert B. Moore, author of Racism in the English Language, language not only expresses ideas and concepts, but it actually shapes thought. In this short video, we will explore a brief background of language and its correlation to thought. We'll ponder an example of language diversity in context, and then we'll discuss a research-based solution to a language diversity problem or practice. To begin, let's consider the components of linguistics. This phenomena basically has two broad tenets. Tenet number one, which echoes Robert Moore, indicates that different languages can have unique effects on individuals' thought patterns. And tenet number two asserts that different languages can have unique effects on social and cultural contexts. According to researcher James Paul Gee, who penned Social Linguistics and Literacies, language is a word that often denotes thoughts of grammar. But what is more important is communication. Communication is not as concerned with sentence structure, but rather in saying the right thing at the right time in the right context. Based upon this light research, we can infer that language is exceptionally dynamic as it evolves over time and changes with social context. To correlate with diversity, we can also assert that language tends to evolve when marginalized groups begin to become empowered. A prime example, the progression of the words once used to describe slaves in the Americas. Prior to the 1950s, people of African descent were often referred to as Negroes, or the other N-word that even today carries such emotional and debilitating weight in American society. Evolving during the civil rights movements of the 1950s up to the 1970s, the term black commenced as a means of social resistance, and phrases like "black is beautiful" and the iconic James Brown musical mantra, "Say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud," emerged. In the years following that cultural awakening, the language used to capture this group's identity would shift again. In the 1980s, as global awareness increased, especially regarding, in this context, the apartheid and injustice in South Africa, the U.S. term African American began to emerge. In today's society, people make individual choices about their racial, ethnic, or cultural labels, and this adds a whole new layer of complexity to language diversity. Another arena in which language is complex is the workplace. The language that professionals use, or the policies that accompany an act, could have unintended consequences both within and outside of the work environment. A relevant example of this potential problem of practice comes straight from the headlines of the Orange County Register. In July 2015, 6 Spanish-speaking employees at Fairview Developmental Center in Costa Mesa filed a lawsuit alleging the facility's no Spanish policy as discriminatory. ¿Qué dijiste? Yes, you heard that correctly. Fairview has a no Spanish-speaking policy. The staff at this facility are not allowed to speak Spanish even during their breaks or at lunchtime. How could we, as leaders and facilitators of organizational change, work to resolve an issue like this one? Here's a proposed solution based upon the literature. According to Cristina Rodriguez, one way to tackle this issue involves using a Title VII language framework. Title VII proclaims the Civil Rights Act of 1964 as federal law that prohibits employers from discriminating against employees on the basis of sex, race, color, national origin, and religion. However, language is not directly referenced here, but we can infer that it is implied in national origin. Alas, thinking back to our friends in Costa Mesa, it's unlikely that a lawsuit of this sort will win, especially for private companies, unless the Title VII is amended to explicitly include language. Another potential solution could be social pressure. Market and corporate peer pressure may be the catalyst toward a more inclusive work environment because it can force companies, and their policies, to become more reflective of the changing U.S. demographics. This is reflective of what happened when Dunkin' Brands Incorporated tried an English-only policy. Customers began to protest, and the message was communicated loud and clear. Either embrace language diversity, or we, your customers, will take our dollars elsewhere. Starbucks, anyone? Let's just say that Dunkin' Donuts had zero problems translating those implications. Based upon relevant problems of practice like this, in addition to the background and historical context of language diversity, we can conclude that language is complex, and its dynamics rest heavily in what researchers like Adriana Kazar call positionality. Positionality refers to the reconciliation between individuals and their human experience, and also the social contexts, times, and spaces that shape this human experience. When we incorporate these varying layers, language becomes far more than just grammar and syntax. Instead, it becomes a part of an awe-inspiring social movement, one that has the power to shape the human experience, both in the workplace and throughout the diverse expanse of our global community.